You can actually read all the text on top. And that's pretty much it. Angel, are we live?
We're live.
We're live. Yeah, we are live. Wow. 2 podcasts in one day. Dude, we're grinding.
Dude.
We're grinding.
All day.
I can't believe it. Yeah, this is the first time we've ever done 2 podcasts in one day.
Nice double header.
Yeah, so we're kind of just like, let's do it. Let's do it some more. So thank you for coming to the studio, man.
My pleasure.
David.
Yeah.
How's it going, man?
It's going good.
It's good. It's good. I'm glad that you came. We've known each other for quite a while.
Yeah.
It's so cool to know that, like, wow, I met you in like a really simple con scene, but yet we still ended up becoming really cool friends. And
right.
You're on my podcast now.
Yeah.
So thanks again for coming. Well, first of all, I guess let's start off with what got you into cosplay? What started you off wanting to dress up as a character from whatever, anime, cartoon, TV show, etc.?
Right.
Go.
So I didn't even know what cosplay was. I never even heard of the word. It was just, I just liked being characters for Halloween originally as a kid.
So you would think of it as... Okay.
That's what it would have been. And so all of a sudden there was like this convention and I'd see people dressing up. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. I want to do that. And at the time I didn't know how to make any costumes or anything like that. So I just went online and the costume that I got first was Neo from The Matrix.
Okay.
And I had that custom made for me. Gave them my measurements and they just made me the black suit cape.
What is it called? The trench coat?
Yeah, trench coat.
Yeah. The duster.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So when you sent it in, they were just like, did your measurements and they sent you the product and you had test fitted and everything was good?
It was pretty close. Yeah.
What was...
Shoulders were slightly like just barely hung over, like a tiny little like fabric, just a little bit.
A little too extra.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Too long because it kind of clips if I'm walking on stairs and I have to be careful.
Oh, okay. So that's cool, that aspects that you know now that like you're like now, because I know you make almost all your costumes 100%, everything from the nitty gritty sewing to the cloth and everything. So that's cool knowing that like they kind of did a little bit of a mess up on this. I mean, now knowing, I bet you can make it, right?
Right. I probably could.
Yeah. Nice. Have you ever no thoughts about doing that kind of work, or maybe like giant? I don't know. What is it? Is it leather? What kind of material is it?
That one was just some sort of cloth. It wasn't actually leather.
Some like weird black cloth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's pretty heavy, which is good. So it flows really nice.
Gives that illusion of it too.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So what, I mean, is The Matrix, well, what is your favorite cosplay that you've done so far? I mean, you've done so much. I don't want to just say you portrayed The Matrix so well though, because you have like, I don't want to say
a little bit.
You have that facial feature already of like Keanu Reeves kind of. There you go, right? So that was cool, but you've done so much, man.
Oh, it's hard to say because every costume that I do, I get really into at the time.
Okay.
Probably the most fun one that I've done, even though it's not recognizable by anybody really, is the Lelouch Code Geass Mad Hatter.
Oh, okay. And that you've done a lot of photo shoots and stuff with that too. I mean,
yeah.
I like the way that it kind of already portrays itself as a really pressed suit. But yeah, I mean, you made the whole thing.
Yeah.
That's what's cool about it. Like
yeah.
I feel like you could literally sell it as a designer item.
The hat, especially.
There you go. See, I mean, he's not bragging or anything, but the hat
is awesome.
I'll put a link on the bottom of your cosplay page and stuff so you can check out some of your things.
Great.
Because I mean, you're badass, dude.
Thanks.
You work really good with the cosplay, and then especially recently, how you've been. Well, it's not even recently, probably like maybe 3 years into it that I've noticed your prop making has just like totally like enhanced itself, and it looks. You're making stuff that looks like legit blades, and it's just out of craft foam and paper.
Right.
So that's cool, man. Where do you get that? Like, how are you getting all that? Like, just YouTubing it? Just totally just like, might as well just try to learn it how I can.
You know what? I don't even YouTube very many things. I just kind of get an idea in my head and kind of go with it. So the Gunblade, especially from Squall, which was another one of my favorite characters ever from a video game. So
nice.
Just kind of decided to try my own stuff. A lot of it is just wood and lots of time and
patience.
Yep.
Lots of patience. And that's notice those little things and stuff that you work on. like as a musician aspect, you can tell when you work on a piece for a really long time and master it. Same thing in your thing when you do an awesome piece of prop.
Right.
I know you took time to really work on that. You didn't slap some things together and throw some paint and it's just like, it's decent enough.
Right.
Pretty sure you were some trial and errors where you're just like,
oh, for sure. There's
scrap pieces
for
all
sure.
day. So
Yeah, there's for that gun blade, there's that's the second handle that I had to make. The first one was kind of like close, but I messed up on the alignment of like how it pushes into the back of the gun.
okay.
Like the fabric is the second fabric that went over it because I got too much glue on it because it was a 4-way stretch, and some of the glue I kind of put on too thick the first time, and it kind of seeped. Yeah, it kind of seeped through a little bit, just barely, and kind of discolored a couple bits of it. And yeah, that happens a lot with my stuff. The barrel, which have spin, kind of messed up on a drill press where I didn't wait for the drill to completely stop as I was pulling it out, and it kind of grinded the top of it a little bit. And I was like, oh man, got to start all over, make another barrel.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
but you actually, that's the cool thing is that you did it. You didn't like well, it's half ass. I can do it. I can fix it. So
there's only so much imperfection in the stuff I do. I'm willing to forgive before I'm like, I could do better.
Okay.
So,
and that's always good too. Is like imperfection always makes a perfect product.
Yeah.
So that's so cool, man. What besides? Do you do any other like? I guess I don't want to say craft work, but like other things besides cosplay. Like I don't know. Do you maybe like just knit or sew? I mean, do you do any like framework? Do you build any stuff like?
No. But as far as hobbies go, I can draw pretty well.
Oh, I have seen some of your artwork.
Yeah,
so.
and I used to paint, which is pretty much the same thing as far as my style goes. I like doing drawing portraits or painting people.
Okay.
More than anything else.
Nice.
And it's sort of a thing that I have going on where at conventions, if they have a couple of famous actors or other people that I want to get their autograph, if I want it bad enough, I'll actually do their portrait. So they have something cool to sign rather than they just take, the 8x10 that everybody else can get. So I have something unique.
Yeah.
And have it personalized, and that's really cool. Then I can, display that.
Because I'm pretty sure even then they're just like amazed in themselves. They're just like, wow, you took the time to do this. I'm totally going to, let me even take a picture of it. I mean, I'm pretty sure.
No one's asked for that, but I think they're trying to get people in and out of those lines so quick.
Oh, well, that is true.
You only get like 10 seconds. Well, I probably get like 20 seconds because it's
a little more.
A little appreciation for them to check that out.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I was just in Seattle for Emerald City Comic Con.
What?
Like 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago.
How was that?
It was fun.
How is it compared to here?
It's just bigger, I would say.
That's it.
Yeah. They had the same sort of
dynamic, like, the booths, the panels,
right,
the costume contest.
Just on a much bigger scale.
Okay.
More famous guests. And I didn't get my tickets I got my tickets about 2 months before, but that was still not early enough because I couldn't get all 4 days. I got 3 out of the 4 days. So I couldn't check out the cosplay contest, which I'm sad. But I'm, walking around, there was plenty of awesome costumes.
That's cool.
So,
and that's always cool to appreciate too, because there's probably a lot of people that didn't enter the cosplay contest that still had great costumes.
Right.
Because the guest before, just you today, we had Cayman on, and she's actually, I didn't know this, but she's never done a cosplay contest at all. And that's like amazing. It's just like, wow, that's so cool because you have like such a big understanding and like an appreciation and stuff, and I'm just like, wow,
yeah,
that's crazy.
That's surprising.
Did you not?
No.
Do you know Cayman is?
Yeah.
Okay.
I seen her at I think it was KanjiCon.
KanjiCon.
Yeah.
I she was pretty cool. She's an awesome guest. It was fun. I always get a little awkward and flustered when there's a girl over there. I'm just like, hey, how's it going? I don't want to be like that awkward nerd guy who's like totally like, in high school, I don't know how to talk to chicks.
Right.
But it was fun. I mean, I'm breaking myself out of the ice of being able to be more social in like interviewic aspect. Like, you know, I could just get on here and talk to you no matter what you are, how you look, or
that's cool.
Practice makes perfect, though, I guess.
I remember when I was starting out in cosplay, and you know, these beautiful women, great costumes, you know, very talented, and I just like
froze.
Almost, you know,
practically,
right. You can't say more than, you know, a sentence or two and don't know how to like end the conversation. You just kind of like walk away.
Yeah,
like, okay,
let me just go.
As I've become better with my own craft, that's also helped my confidence as far as feeling like I can interact on a more equal level to the guests
just
that
like,
are there.
Even just presenting yourself as the average cosplayer.
Right.
Because I'm pretty sure I feel a lot of them think like, you know, they come as a guest, so they have like a little bit more prestige in like the work that they do and stuff.
Sure.
So I don't want to say they talk down or like they feel, but I'm pretty sure they have a lot to go through, and they're just like, you know, there's a lot, but then you come and it's just like, well, I can appreciate the work because it's really, you see it. I mean,
yeah,
that's all there is to it. I mean, you can tell when there's somebody does a lot really hard work and they want something really done correctly, right, to their liking, compared to somebody who's just like, this is okay for me, and I'm pretty sure other people will think it's okay,
right,
and that's exactly it. Those people will think it's okay, and it's just weird to understand and stuff. That's just like the aspect of, how do you feel about having multiple skills or just being the master of one thing? Is that, obviously having multiple skills will get you appreciation from a lot of different people, but it wouldn't be the appreciation it would be if you were the master of one skill.
Right.
How do you feel in those aspects? I mean, I'm probably just going off topic and railing around here, but
when it comes to me, and I don't mean this to be bragging, but I'm good at a lot of things. Okay. So I would probably be considered to be a jack of all trades kind of a person. But I feel like I'm somebody that if I become dedicated and I want it, I could be, you know, special at whatever I'm applying myself to.
Okay.
And so I always push myself for that excellence in whatever I'm trying to accomplish.
Okay.
So I don't necessarily believe that you cannot be a master at more than one thing.
Well, I guess I could see that aspect, because I mean
certainly you can't diversify too much, but at the same time, I think you can be good at more than one thing.
Okay, here's the thin line then, is like, what if there is a level between like, I don't want to say master. Well, there is you are multiple talents, and you are a master at this, a master at that, and a master of that. But one of those talents, you have the grandmaster of that one. So right. I mean, you can be really good at all your multiple talents, but the one talent out of all the multiple ones, there's one person that is the best at it, because he is solely dedicated to that one talent.
That makes sense.
Compared to all the rest of them.
Right.
Like, do you think that's a lot of dedication to just try to work towards that one sole talent?
Yes.
I mean,
definitely.
Is that, I mean, why? I don't know. How do you explain people that do that? Like, I don't know how to explain how people do that. Like, why is it they want to just work on that one talent consecutively? Like, I'm in your case too. I like to do multiple things. I don't want to be just that one talented person. Cat, why are you in here? He's so bad. Yeah, but I see what you're saying though. And I don't know. I just feel like I would rather be a person that has multiple talents.
Right.
But then you do see that person that's like super amazing at one of the talents that you're good at.
Right.
Doesn't that make you just like...
I would think there's a few things going on. One is probably that person's very passionate about it, and so they're not even thinking about trying to explore other things because they are satisfied doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
Whoa.
He's such a brat. You should get him out of here, man. What can I say? Animals, they're everywhere. Well, yeah. We separate. Like, that's his cat.
Yeah.
And I have the dog. And then I don't know, they're really good together though. That's the cool thing about it. Is like they're not like the average cat and dog.
Right.
So that's always cool. But I guess that's just animals taking time to understand each other or something.
Right. Yeah.
Because I mean, you could even relate that to like in the olden times when like people were racist against each other. I mean,
Sure.
It just took so long for people to finally
Right.
understand.
Well, yeah. Once you spend time together, you let go of those preconceptions you might have had, and you just have a regular, you just interact with that person without thinking about that stuff.
And it's crazy to think about too, is like, because back then, why were people so angry at those people? Like, I don't understand racism back then. Like, I just don't. Like, I don't get the concept of like treating somebody as unequal because of their skin color or their ethnicity or their religion.
Right.
Compared to now, where it's like more of a joke to do that, but still kind of, I don't know, it's still an iffy or stray subject to go through.
Yeah.
I don't know. How do you feel about the change of racism nowadays? Obviously, it's more funnier. People joke about it more. But, I mean, it's still a thing.
Racism to me doesn't really make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
But where it comes from is, in talking about black people, for instance, is that white people wouldn't even consider them as actually being people. So when you're saying, equal, well, they're not equal because they're not really people. They're like sort of like half people or something like that.
Yeah.
So, some of that has to not do with just being racist, but not even seeing them as being people. So there's a lot of hurdles to get through before we, started even talking about equality, and then, where we're at today. So.
Because I remember that comedian Angel, that guy that did that racist comment. Remember, he was like, "Oh, like racism is anything nowadays," and he's just like, "Oh, look at those hoodlums skateboarding," and that was racism because like, why not? I mean, it's just a bunch of kids skateboarding. I mean, that's pretty much categorizing those type of kids. And
right.
Racism is so vague now that it's just like, I don't know. It's like, but then again, it's something that could be joked about very comedically, where it's like, why is somebody getting so offended at this point? But then in certain, I don't even want to bring that topic up, but in certain music, it always has foul language that is offensive if somebody else from a different culture would say those kind of words.
Right.
Which makes no sense to me because, like,
right.
I don't know.
So, it's still prevalent despite what race we're talking about.
Yeah.
It can exist on either side. And
well, it does, unfortunately, because obviously, a white male gets a little offended when a Mexican or a Hispanic male says things in like a Anglo accent. I don't even want to say it's an Anglo accent, but I mean, just some of those aspects like that, or like rapping or like music like that. Like, where is it appropriate for a white rapper to say the N-word when a black person says it all the time? Like,
right.
Because obviously, some people are going to call him out and be like, that's inappropriate. But then there might be those African-American people or black people where they're just like, that's okay. That's cool. He deserves to say something like that. Where is I don't get it. I just.
When people learn to let go of that race really means anything beyond just kind of the way you look.
Okay.
When they let go of that, racism won't be, an issue anymore. Because that's what equality is. It's when you let go of the pride that you have in your own race, thinking that it means something, that it's special. When, just like being white to me is not any more important than if I was any other race. And I don't consider to have a culture as a part of who I am. Like, who I am is different from the culture, which is sort of just everybody kind of unconsciously created a culture, but it's not a real thing.
So even in the aspects of like your ethnicity or the white people doing what they did to like become a part of America, that's not that big of, you're not like, oh, thanks to the white man because of what we have now. It's not in that kind of aspect, right?
It's not, because that sucks that how things were.
Yeah.
But what does that have to do with me now? That is not, this isn't the, sins of the father kind of a situation.
And that's actually a good scenario. I didn't think of it that way, but like, I shouldn't take fault in what my past father or grandfather did because I don't think like them.
Right. Yeah.
And that's, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, you're looking at, if people are angry about what happened, well, we're just gonna have to let that go. Because what are you gonna do? You gonna ask me to change the past? I don't have that power. So there's really no point in being angry at people in the present for things that's happened in the past if they're not the ones responsible.
That's true. I mean, it's just so hard to accept, like, I had nothing to do with that. And it's just like, it's your people. What does that even mean? We're part of the same race.
Yeah. Well, people from Earth is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
we need to, like, stop thinking of race as, like, different people on Earth. Like you said, we're all Earthlings.
Right.
Human beings.
Yep.
That's always weird when I was younger. It's like, why is it called human being? Like
Beans.
a bean. Like a bean. I was so young. I was just like, oh my God, naive. Let's talk about something else.
Okay.
Did you see the Black Panther movie?
I have not.
Do you like Marvel?
For being kind of a nerd, I'm not really into too much comic-y stuff. I like X-Men though.
Okay.
And
so you haven't really been following the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe?
Not really.
No.
I know that you talked about this on a couple other podcasts, and I was kind of like, okay. Well,
yeah, it always comes up. I don't know, because it always is a good topic to bring up what you like better is like Marvel or DC.
Right.
Which is, some people pick. Some people don't have an opinion at all.
Yeah, I'm kind of in that category where I kind of like the first two new Batman movies. And then I didn't like the third one so much. But I haven't seen like the Ben Affleck one or whatever else has come out. So I sort of like that universe, but I also sort of like the X-Men stuff.
So okay, here's another thing then, like more of like an entertainment question. But how do you feel that Fox finally sold their rights or Disney bought the rights to Fox?
I don't really have an opinion about that.
Really?
I'm like, huh, okay.
Okay, just another thing you bought? Great. What else do you want to own? Do you want to own my house? Go ahead, guys.
Right.
Jeez. Do you think... Okay, here's a conspiracy theory thing.
Okay.
Is Walt Disney still alive? I'm just kidding. But how do you feel about them owning so much of, like, everything? They own a lot of... Not even just media, but like actual like corporations and franchises. Like,
right.
How does that make you feel?
I never really thought about that too much, but as far as art or media goes, I think the more control one institution has over everything, the less artistic and original things are going to get.
Because you're not like a real like news buffer guy, right? You're not sitting there watching CNN or Fox News or anything like that.
No, I kind of stay away from it, and when things pop up, I'm like, oh, okay.
And it's kind of hard to realize or think that like, wow, my news is being fed by the same person that like just did the Marvel movie, or like my news feed is just done by the same person that like opened an amusement park in West California or something.
Right.
It's kind of hard to think like almost everything on TV now almost goes through Disney.
Yeah.
Almost just through Disney.
And I hadn't really wasn't too aware of that.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
It's scary to think about because it just makes me think like what gets pushed now, because like obviously there's a lot of different corporations or different like startup networks and stuff. They're like, I want to portray my show or this kind of stuff, but then just saying
the man comes in.
Yeah.
Disney the man.
Let me tell you what I think is gonna happen. And then what we get.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like Star Wars, do you feel like it would have been better or worse with Disney's backing behind it? Or was it you get the question.
Okay, so first of all, I didn't like The Force Awakens.
Okay.
I was disappointed in it.
Unpopular opinion, people.
Yeah.
I forgot to change the channel. Go ahead.
Well, the thing was, I saw it with 6 other people, all family, and none of us liked it. We were all complaining about it on the trip homeward, like, poking holes in it. We don't like plot holes at all. So
yeah, what's this? Why did this happen?
Yeah. So I had made up my mind that if the reviews that came out for The Last Jedi were worse than The Force Awakens, that I wasn't going to see it. And that's how it was, especially from the viewers, not the critics so much, but for viewers, it was much lower. So I was like, okay, so I haven't seen it.
Okay.
But I went on YouTube and I found this guy who was pretty funny, and he did like a 4.5-hour review of just picking apart the whole movie.
Wow.
So I know everything that happens.
But you're just like...
But I'm not going to go see it because I'm not going to go pay to go see that. Just as a, as a statement to say, I don't appreciate the quality of what's being delivered.
So what I'm hearing right now is what you just said is you don't like what Disney did with Star Wars.
I guess so.
Okay, that's awesome. We have a studio audience in the crowd. They're going crazy right now. You can't hear them, but when you watch the video later on, they're totally just going nuts. I can see that. But unfortunately, most of the generation now, I mean, I'm bragging about it because I'm part of it, but the millennials are totally just like, wait, how old are you?
How old do you think I am?
I always
like this question.
See, that's we're gonna cross paths here. I always thought you were at least in your like mid 30s.
Okay.
I was thinking 35, 37.
Yeah.
Ish.
So I will be 40 in a couple months.
40.
Yeah.
That's not bad. You look good.
Yeah. Thank you.
Looking good.
Yeah. When I'm in cosplay, it's like people think I'm in my 20s.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? I got little like teenage girls like hanging around me. I'm like, well, that's cute, but I'm like old enough to be your dad. So
right? Yeah, and like Uncle Jesse. Hello. That's crazy. Well, then in that aspect, then you do know obviously the generational gap between the millennials and
yeah.
Did you know that there's some Generation Z out there that think they're millennials? They're so noobs. Retarded. Anyways, they don't even know who Bob Saget is. Anyways, another thing I'm trying to work on is my stand-up. I want to be a stand-up comedian.
Yep.
So
and I've given that some thought, so I'm prepared to entertain you with my thoughts on that too. So,
nice. Well, do you know who Joe Rogan is?
No.
You don't know who Joe Rogan is?
But
wow.
This is me not being involved with things sometimes. So.
But like Joe Rogan is like he's 50 now. He's like I'm not saying he's in your age demographic, but
right.
But he's older. That's why I'm surprised. Do you know the commentator for the UFC, the guy that always does like all like the announcements and stuff?
No.
How about the old host of Fear Factor?
No.
That's Joe Rogan up there.
Okay.
He's a stand-up comedian. He also has a podcast show on YouTube known as the Joe Rogan Experience. And he was on Fear Factor. He did a show back in like the 90s called Radio Station or Radio.
Okay.
It was old school show. Anyways, he's my inspiration for what I'm doing right now.
Okay.
Like the podcasting, the whole trying to be a stand-up and stuff.
Yeah.
Is pretty venturous because I don't know. I've been just pitching some joke ideas and they've been hitting and they're just like, hey, nice, you should do that go to stand-up. And I'm just like,
yeah, it's
so nerve-wracking because I'm a musician and I play like on stage with people watching me, but that's totally different than like that kind of material.
Right.
Musical material compared to comedy written material is a little different for me.
Now, let me ask you, how much of your stand-up comedy is like completely rehearsed, or how much is improv compared to how much is like rehearsed?
I would say, okay, so what is your definition of rehearsed?
That you know what you're you're gonna almost be going word for word.
Okay,
so it's like you have a script that you're following versus you're kind of improvising.
Okay, so I have bullet points.
Okay.
What like topics of the joke that I know I have to talk about this and then punchline.
Right.
But in between is what I still don't know what to work with because I don't know what the interaction of it is going to be super funny or the way that some of the jokes are presented. Like I know the first half isn't as funny or I'm just not saying it as good as I need to say it.
Yeah.
But when I get to the second half, it hits, or like the first half really hits, and then when I say the second half, they get lost in the joke.
Okay.
So I do have material where I have these bullet points of what is coming up next, and I do have an idea. For example, I have this joke about stem cells. Because, like, I mean, obviously, I've said it like 30 times on the podcast, but I'm going to say it again.
Okay. I don't think I've heard it, so.
It's so weird because, like, I guess now in Panama, you can get stem cells injected into you. Like, legit injected into you. So Mel Gibson, yeah, obviously, who doesn't know who Mel Gibson is? He's out there getting stem cells injected in him. Like, he's literally becoming a superhuman, like a superhuman person. Like, that's so crazy. What would you do to become a superhuman? What are the legitimate thoughts for becoming a superhuman? Would you, if one of the scenarios were, eat a baby's head? Could you? That's the question. Like, if you really wanted a superpower and it was an amazing superpower, could you really really, to the nitty gritty, think about eating a baby's head. I mean, I already did it. I mean, look at how strong I am. But ta-da! See, it's there. I know exactly what the joke is. Like eating a baby's head, becoming a superpower, and then at the end of that joke, the superpower ends up being really, really stupid. But I just don't know in between.
Okay.
That's what I need to work on, and that's what I'm scared of on stage, is when I do present it, and then I'm just gonna like mess it up somewhere or another.
Gotcha. Here's my thoughts on. I'm no expert by any means. On comedy.
The fact that you actually have a thought on comedy is what makes it awesome.
I think a lot of it is not so much the material that you're going to use. Comedy is mostly about timing, and I don't think that's anything that you can teach. I think that's something that you're going to have to just kind of feel out. But my main point that I was going to be sure to tell you if this conversation came up was, it's not going to resonate with people unless there's some sort of truth to it. So if you're saying something that just people are like, huh, well, then they're going to be like, what? You know, it won't come off as funny no matter what.
Okay.
Because it will be like the opposite. I mean, comedy is comedy because it makes sense and there is a truth to it. And it's just told in a humorous way.
Okay. So it's more, well, see, it's weird. It's just so weird.
So your baby eating the baby's head and having a superpower, I don't think it resonated for me because, like me, you're a very, very skinny guy. So you're not like all buff or something like that. See, but, if your superpower was like, look how skinny I am, I don't know. Maybe that would have been funnier as the conclusion.
What? Okay, so here, that's awesome. I'm glad that you're giving me this input. So, the joke can go. Eating the baby's head, getting the superpower, but obviously it doesn't work out for us because look at where we're at now.
Right.
Still. So,
yeah, it's like, look how buff I am. It's like people are gonna be like, huh? Oh, was that supposed to be funny?
Yeah.
And it's like
it just goes over their head or something.
Maybe,
right?
yeah.
Okay. So I do need to work on more jokes because I've been doing little like here's another one that I thought was funny, and it was just an idea. It's like, you know how Hispanic or Mexican families, for whatever reason, will throw every party at the end of the month. They're like, oh, we have Stacy and Juan and Juanita's party. Hey, let's just throw the quinceañera at the end too. We'll all have one big party at the end. That's another kind of aspect. But then that's filling out my crowd too, because like,
sure,
I like you know the concept of like, I guess like if you have 3 brothers and your birthdays are all like within a week, they're like, instead of each of you having a birthday, let's have one giant birthday for all 3 of you right away.
Right.
That was like kind of the whole, hey, let's save money and we're Mexican and that's what we do. And hey, let's throw in Stacy's wedding in there too.
Right.
So that kind of, see, those are more material that I have, but it's just not there. You do
right. See, for me, you would have to explain that one. I'd be in the audience. I'd be like, huh, okay. And like some other people probably would know what you're talking about. And they might actually be laughing at that because it's like it makes total sense to them. So not only does a truth need to be there, but your audience needs to like be aware of, you know, the truth that you're talking about.
Let me see if I have at least one that I can get a smile off of you that is actually kind of funny. Okay, here's the one. Okay. See, because that's all I do is like I'll write my joke ideas and then I just write the little asterisk of what I'm kind of thinking and then I add to it because I think it'd be funnier.
Gotcha.
So this one is I hate how older people say, oh, remember the good old times? Remember the good old times we just sit back and just hang out and be like, wait, what are you saying? You're saying the 50s were the good old times? The 50s? So when you're over there making fun of Johnny because he's hanging out with African American man, you think that was the good times? How is that the good times? I can literally look at my phone and find porn. You couldn't do that back then.
Right?
See, that's another one. Could use some work, but the premise on my phone just says good times. What the fuck? 50s weren't the good times. Now are good times. So right. I have to formulate the rest of my joke with that.
That one was getting there.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of felt what you were going for with that one. So
it's hard. Comedy's hard.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's cool. I'm glad that like bouncing those ideas off you because every time like I've talked to somebody else on the podcast about my comedy, it's just straight over the head.
It may be just trying to be polite.
Maybe that is try it too. I mean,
which means that they're just good people, and I'm a good person too. But I wanted to, I feel like you're not going to grow in any of your art, no matter what we're talking about, in this case comedy, unless you're willing to, have those ideas bounced out.
What is it called? Constructive criticism.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's like the same thing for me as a writer. The more people read my stuff and tell me, oh, this part was like didn't make any sense, or what are you going for here? It's like I didn't understand. Well, I can get my feelings hurt, but what good does that do? I just need to take it and be like, yeah, look at it from more objective and grow.
Okay, I see what you're saying too. Is like I shouldn't be there trying to explain the joke to you. You should just be like, oh well, so move on. I messed up. I could probably fix it later on. I don't need to be like, well, you got like the Mexicans have a family, and I totally get what you're saying there.
Well, yeah, I mean, for me, it's like you can explain it to me after the fact because I didn't get it because I didn't know what was actually supposed to be funny about that.
But that was the point. Is like most of the comedy should be like so you don't have to explain it.
Right. Exactly.
That's exactly.
Yeah.
What it should
The
be.
truth should be evident when you're
no matter and universally too. Like obviously, I was kind of subjugating to Hispanics, so it should be more of a universal kind of joke. I mean, obviously, if Fluffy said that joke, everybody would have laughed. But whatever, I'm not Fluffy. Oh, I'm just kidding. I love beating on myself. Anime. Have you seen anything recent?
Watching one right now, which was good at first, and then it's on the last episode, which comes out next Friday, I think. Mm-hmm. And it's called Love is Like After the Rain, and it was kind of being promoted as more of a romantic anime between this 17-year-old girl gets a crush on her boss at work, and he's like a 45-year-old guy.
Oh dang.
And so it was supposed to be dealing with the huge age gap and the stigma and the cliches or whatever that come with it. And it was actually getting pretty deep into the character's personality. So it was very, very interesting.
Okay.
And it seemed like she was making progress and kind of like getting them closer together. But then the series, after about episode 8, kind of took a different turn to where it seems like, oh, they're not going to get together now. It's just kind of explore the problems that they're having at their ages in life and how they kind of help each other a little bit.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh. And I was like, I just commented on my anime list, which is like a good site for checking out stuff and seeing what people's opinions are on stuff. And I was just saying, they missed a big opportunity to explore this. That's kind of a new topic. I hadn't seen an anime that would explore like a romance between such a big age gap.
Okay.
And that would have been cool to see, not only if they did it, but if they found a way to make it work and that as a viewer, you are happy for those two people despite their age difference. Then it seems like they should be together.
So it doesn't seem like a weird kind of...
Right.
Because that's always the biggest problem in that aspect until it actually happens.
Right.
And then you're just like... And then you see it too, and then you're just like, how can I be like so subjugated to like their relationship? Because I mean, they obviously look like they're happy and stuff.
Right.
What am I gonna be like disrespected and
right.
grossed out or like totally weirded out or anything? So
yeah, it's kind of interesting to think about. I mean, at what point do you draw that line to say, these people should just not be together because of their age difference? And I don't know if there's a really good answer for that, because if two people, if they vibe well together, they take care of each other. I guess I don't have a problem with it.
I wouldn't see that problem either. I mean, I don't know. This comes from a standpoint of me dating younger girls, so so I mean, I totally get it.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's just society. Society, I guess, makes everything how they want to make it. And obviously, there are those people that don't follow what society does, but then they're categorized as weird or like unwanted or something that's just like totally irrelevant.
Yeah, society seems to have a problem with
being yourself,
categorizing everything, labeling everything, categorizing everything. Putting everything into an us versus them camps. And if we were going to get into politics, for instance, I have some ideas on why politics is one of the worst things that people have ever invented.
What kind of politics, though? Because we're already straying into the politics subject already.
Yeah.
But, okay, politics. I feel, I don't know, see, government in itself, the structure of government has flaws, obviously. But if you take certain aspects of any government, capitalism, fascism, democracy, all of them, and take what works and what doesn't work, and then make this universal government or this universal idea of what we should be doing, I'm all for it. I am totally more open to that idea than being more of just like, you have to follow this side of the law because it only works for us. And even though they do that stuff on the other side of the world, that's not what we do, and we can't work that way. But then obviously those people on the other side, they're like, oh no, that's why over there in America they have all those problems, because they're letting all those people do whatever they want. So I see structure in government. I just don't like how this is better than this is that.
Right.
It's so wide open. I don't know.
Right.
Tell me more.
Basically, what is wrong with our democracy in itself is a good thing, but it can be twisted around to where the people don't even really get a say in what's going on. And that's what's happening. It's been happening for like hundreds of years, basically, is that you set up two parties, and then the people get it into their head that they don't have to, one of these two people is definitely going to win the election. So we'll talk about the recent, presidency. It's between Trump and Clinton. And you may not like either of them, but who do you like, just a little bit more? Or who do you not want to see there?
Yeah.
Then you're going to vote for, the lesser of two evils, so-called. Well, if people have that mentality, they're going to still pick somebody that's not that great. And these candidates don't even need to work hard to get your vote, because all they're going to say is, don't pick him because I'm, a little bit better, or he's worse, or she's worse. And
she has emails that are totally scamming.
Right, right. Yeah. And this guy's a bigot, which he kind of is. Yeah. But, but if that's all your choices are, then you're going to pick one of these two people that didn't have to, what are they going to do when they're president? Are they going to do something good? No, because they're not even trying to do something good. They're just trying to get elected to office, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then at that point, we Americans don't have any say in what they're going to do. That's where democracy ends. And our choice is really between two people that didn't have to work hard to get our votes. And so, if we could just convince people, either, you don't vote for somebody if they're not worth it. So either you don't vote, or for me, I went with third party. Gary Johnson's kind of a hippie, but he was, an alternative.
Okay.
And what if, more people started thinking like I do, and give your vote to somebody else who's not going to play those games to where, we're just going to fight with each other because we know we're going to win. One of us is going to win. And, and it is doable. I mean, why do people think, you threw your vote away because you voted for third party? Well, I didn't throw my vote away. If everybody was doing what I was doing, the third party candidate would have won.
Yeah, my vote.
Right. So people just have to change their minds and believe that they can make a change. And that's a hard hurdle for them to get over, because they're more afraid of having somebody they hate in office rather than getting somebody that is actually going to be good for America.
And do you think it's just because of they wouldn't be able to handle change, or is it because they're scared of change? Because I feel as if somebody that, I don't want to say that right wing or that like alternative of a pick ended up winning. I mean, it's not saying he would change the government rationally, really crazy, but
it probably wouldn't.
That's the thing, is like that's what they freaked out about. Or that's what they are all freaked out about, is because like, oh no, I can't have this. Like, he doesn't have the same ideas as what we've been going through for the past. I mean, this person doesn't have the same ideas either, but the president before him was the same party, so he must have close to the same ideas.
Right.
Which just makes me feel like people are just, what's the term they call sheep?
That's part of it, but it's just a matter of comfort. They're so used to doing what's always been done, it's hard to think of an alternative. But I think when it comes to, 96% of the people that voted in this election picked Trump or Clinton. So only 4% of us picked somebody else.
Okay.
That's 1 out of 25.
So that still tells you, like, these whole group of people still don't even know who to pick, but
right. But the people that picked one of those two candidates, though, feel justified in being like, see, it wasn't even close. It was going to be one of them two, and they have to like change their thought to be like, if more people would have, if the trend starts going to a third party candidate, the other two candidates are going to have to work harder to get your vote. It can't be any longer, this person's worse than me. They're going to have to start like coming up with some stuff that actually appeals to Americans as voters.
Yeah.
And more issues can get discussed. And it could turn out that, that those two candidates, which you don't like, maybe they have some good ideas after all, and they're going to actually start to try to work for it.
I see what you're saying too, because as far right now, they feel like instead of portraying themselves as like we're doing this and we're doing that, they're like, she's not going to do this or he's not going to do that.
Right.
And that's not going to get done. And it's just, again, like a fighting, just like bitter, batter.
Right.
And nothing gets done. Well, the third party is doing really hard to just even try to get some recognition. All you hear is just nothing but banter and fighting.
Right. Yeah, that's why I don't watch the debates, because they don't debate. They just point the finger and, whoever yells louder, I guess. Or...
It's more, I feel like debates now are more about like appealing to an audience instead of like actually going over.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. You're just trying to appeal to their fan. I mean, it's not even to their voter base. We'll call it fan base, because that's really all it is. It's just it's like two teams. This is serious. I mean, this is a country that we're talking about. Yeah. This is not a sporting event.
And they pick our president based off of who can diss the other one or roast the other one better.
It seems like it.
That's what it is. Like, literally, when I remember watching the debate with Trump and Hillary, and Trump said something where, like, they were both, like, going at it, and right at the end, under his breath, is like, oh, well, you would be in jail if I was president. Everyone just goes crazy, like if it's like some like stadium of like football or something.
Yeah.
Even the moderator for the debate is like, calm down, people. You have to calm down. Doesn't that just show you that like it has nothing to do with politics anymore? It's just all about who looks better on camera.
Right. Yeah. For sure. It's sensationalism more than it is content, quality of content.
Do you feel like in that aspect it's the same face, different mask? So no matter how many times we elect a president, there's still those officials behind the president that make things happen. The president is just the face or the cute little mask, but then obviously he's still, I don't want to say like the big brother government or the elite, but I mean, there's always that aspect to think of, because how can you really think that Trump is really like
making all the decisions,
these big of decisions? Like, I get that he was like a really big like businessman, or he did like swindle money like back and forth really well, but dude, you have like your like foreign policies now and like these like immigration laws and like so many things that you have to take into account. It's not business anymore.
Yeah.
That's the worst part, is that like don't see America as a business, because that just makes me more scared that like I'm not a citizen, I'm just a worker.
Right. Yeah. I don't even want to think about that so much. But, it's kind of what I was saying just a while ago was, once someone's elected, you kind of don't have a say. I mean, you can go out with your buddies and,
pick it,
do a march and, but all you're going to be is just some people in the street.
Being the weird guy picketing, right?
Yeah,
that's
right.
So that just makes me upset too, because like even here in a small state that we're in, us trying to even get into a small part of the government is more of like more of a money financial thing. Like, yeah. I want to be like city councilman. Well, you're gonna have to go ahead and raise money. You're gonna have to present yourself as this very business suitable man, and you're gonna have to. Why can't I just go up there and tell them all the knowledge that I have and tell them my ideas?
That would be nice.
But I know, right? Unfortunately, I don't have a billboard that I can post my name on and like people, oh, this guy's running for city councilman. I would have never guessed.
Yeah.
Compared to the other guy, I was like, oh, well, look, Pete Johnson again, running for city councilman. I can see it. Oh, look at the signs. So
right.
It's kind of sad. But then again, like, do you really think somebody random can take that much control or power to help the United States? Like, here's a weird little theory / what if it was like somebody really smart that was the president, like Neil Tyson or Elon Musk or something like that?
Yeah.
How would you feel about that? Do you feel like it would be more, there would actually be more unsuitable of helping the human race, or would it be like the same thing where it's like, you're just a president, we tell you what to do, you do what we tell you?
It depends how strong the person is
Well,
to stand up to the influence of what people are telling you what to say and do.
We don't want another Kennedy though.
Yeah.
I just.
So no, I mean, you get somebody of intelligence who can you can see the problems and is more concerned about solving them rather than how they look or getting voted again. Yeah, that would be good.
But obviously, that's not something we can do.
Not until people open themselves up to the idea that it could work.
Well, I heard these ideas. I don't know how true they are, or not these ideas, but these. Some of them didn't even say that they're running anymore. But like candidates that said they were running in 2020, where it was like, I don't know if you heard this, or she said she wasn't doing it or whatever. But Oprah.
Oh, yeah, I heard that.
And then also Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Okay.
And also Kanye West.
That's the singer?
Yeah.
Okay.
So look at that and that aspect. All those people that I just named are all famous celebrities.
Right.
Nothing to do with politics at all. Yeah, maybe Oprah did run like a toy drive or something, but it wasn't a country. It just weirds me out that like now people that are going for the presidency are just your average celebrities.
Right. Yeah. See, if you said average Joe, I wouldn't be as concerned. But like it's almost like you have to be known already. Otherwise, people are not going to. It's almost the same thing as before, where it's like the finger pointing. Except in this case, it's just all about just being known already. It's just about popularity. You don't have to get elected for what you plan to do. You can get elected for, you're more popular. You are, celebrity runs against average Joe. Neither one of them really knows much about politics. The celebrity's going to win because they know that face. They know that name.
So you think, this is just another weird theory, but we need a celebrity to run for third party and then just like totally like have them just do what we want them to do?
Yeah, I mean, if you're trying to play the game, but ideally you want somebody, it's not about, getting the right person in office.
Yeah.
The problem is the people that are voting. The people are no matter what, no matter how much you don't like Trump, the people put him there.
Yeah. And
that's the problem. So you want the people to find a candidate that actually makes sense and then vote for him.
Okay.
Or her.
Just so that, they have a more, because obviously I feel like they only voted for Trump because of like his outlandish ideas. And then when it came down to it, they're still kind of like, well, it's going to happen. Just give it another year or give it a second. And
yeah,
it's going to come to that time where when he does have to run again, or if he does, I don't know what's going to happen with that.
Yeah.
They're going to go back to that and be like, you said all these things that didn't happen. What's going to happen now?
Right.
Where that's going to be a pushing point for the other candidate. They can just literally be like, this guy promised this and this and
right.
this.
So it's going to be, it's in 2020, it's going to be a choice between, two candidates again.
Yeah.
And this time it's going to swing to the Democratic side because it's going to be like, yes, that's no matter what, we do not want Trump again. That's
Trump.
what it's going to be.
Yeah.
But, the Democratic candidate's not likely to have any good ideas either. All they're going to have to say is, look how terrible this guy was. He didn't do anything. He didn't keep his promises. And then we're going to get, a Democratic candidate that's, probably mediocre at best. And we still don't get that change.
Okay.
So, and as somebody who, wants to vote third party because I want to kind of mess that up and get people to kind of realign their thoughts, it's kind of, it is tempting because I don't like Trump at all.
Okay.
To keep him out of office by voting for the next worst one. But I still won't do that. I still would vote third party to get those votes in to make it seem like it's possible down the road. It may just take, it probably won't happen in my lifetime even, but if we can start to get, 30% of the vote, 30% of the vote, and like 15% of the vote, people are going to start to be like, if this guy just gets a little more votes, he could actually get into the office. And then, I think at that time it could avalanche into, we can have a 3-party system.
Because there's even that point too where it's like those people that are only on the the two parties, they're just like, oh, we don't need to vote the third party because no one would ever vote for that.
Yeah.
And like you said, if it does get to the point where it's like, oh, he was only a little bit off.
Right. Yeah.
the next will be like.
That's the whole thing. So even if it's a losing effort for now, I still think it's worthwhile for people to vote third party because you're just going to inch closer to that. And I think that will be good.
You hear that, people? Vote. There you go.
One of the commentators, he asked, what do you guys think about our nation's debt?
Like the debt.
Money.
The money.
National debt.
Yeah.
I've been concerned with that ever since I was a little kid because I always liked numbers.
See, that's the thing, though, is like when I was a kid, I was always in the impression that like we're so in debt to China. Like,
Yeah.
we owe them so much money, but yet we have this power over them. I don't get that.
I don't really get that either, and I don't know exactly where the debt goes to. It's like there's some sort of thing, I don't even know how to explain it, where we're like in debt to ourselves or something like that, or I don't even know what it is, but it's outrageous. If somebody could come in and actually straighten that out, that would be great.
Right. Well, you know who Matt is, right? My friend Matt is a little younger, kind of really outspoken, loud person, but he's pretty. He's hung out with us a few times.
Okay, I've probably seen him. I just not ringing a bell.
He's really smart. He doesn't. I don't know. I would say he does know, but he doesn't know because he does know the ideas of why our debt is a certain, why we owe so much money,
Okay.
but why we still have this power over them and stuff because of how our money is backed by anything. But I feel the only reason why is because China hasn't found a new currency that they can back so that they can stray away from the dollar.
Right.
Not yet, which is scaring me because have you heard of Bitcoin?
No. Wow. Oh, wait. Bitcoin. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I was gonna say.
I didn't understand what you said for a second.
Yeah, Bitcoin. So imagine if that currency just gets a little bit more popularity, that a really high national country, like one of the first world countries, can just totally just be like, fuck it, let's back this.
Yeah, this new currency.
We're not going to go with the dollar anymore. Right. And I feel if China were to do that, other countries would follow. But see, that's what I don't know is like, where are they in this like standstill where they're like both have guns to their faces and they're like, oh, you're going to do it or I'm going to do it. Come on, China. I mean,
right.
And you know, Trump too, he's probably like right there with his shirt off and everything. Like, what's up? I'm just kidding. That's me trying to say another joke. But that in that aspect, it's freaky to think about.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think of our debt? I mean, you were starting to talk about numbers and stuff. Like, what freaked you out as a little kid?
Anybody knows that debt is like bad. You shouldn't try to have it. So it's like, I mean, that's how I was as a kid. I always keep track of it, and it would always be going up.
Okay.
And like, I think when I was a kid, as far back as I remember, it was like maybe 4 trillion.
4 trillion.
Yeah.
Look up national debt right now.
It's somewhere close to 20, I believe. So
the person on the stream said we're at 100,074.
That's going to be per person. That's what they're saying.
Yeah, per taxpayer.
Okay. So like national
Oi.
debt. But that's crazy. So that one person, me, I'm that much in debt already.
Yeah.
And it's just like, how? Like
right.
I barely started my life.
Okay. Here's the thing though. Let's say that your scenario comes true. U.S. has to default. The U.S. starts to crumble. Fall apart. But what if China was actually becoming like the more intelligent, mature country? Would that yes, it's sad that we lose this country, but what if they're the more humane leader of the world? Would that bother you?
It would, in some aspects, because of like the way, I don't know. If we were to go through like some facts of like Chinese work days compared to American work days, or Chinese benefits compared to American benefits, unfortunately they get left in the dirt compared to what we do.
Okay, yeah.
But obviously they know how to structure their people to do the job needs to be done no matter what.
Right.
And in our country, it's like, can do attitude. If I can, I can. If I can't, I can't. So, go ahead.
The U.S. debt is 21,134,394,095.
Too much numbers in my point.
Right.
I've never even heard of anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, really, you can't. I mean, you can say the number and read it,
yeah,
but you don't know how much that really is. I mean, like a million is 1,000 thousands. I mean, think about how long that takes.
Yeah.
If you paid off $1 of that per second, I don't know if you have the capability of calculating that, but how long would that take? $1 per second. If it didn't go up, $1 per second. So that's like 21 trillion seconds is what I'm saying. So how long is that? I mean, there's like, a million years.
That's like, that is like our existence on this earth right there. That's crazy. It's so weird to think about too, like all these different statistics of how people work and stuff. Like there's this YouTube / Twitch streamer known as Ninja. He does like Fortnite and a lot of video game streaming. You know how much watch time that guy has for over just maybe like a year of playing games? Over, I think it was like 4 to 7 billion hours.
Wow.
That means people just coming to watch him play. Like,
yeah.
So that's what?
Yeah, right.
In just that amount of time, billions of hours just watching him. Obviously, it's not calculated in one giant acronym of one person, but there's 6 people watching him for an hour. That automatically counts as a 6-hour watch. Right. And so you can just imagine how that equates to 6 billion in less than a year.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Just life in general is crazy.
It is.
It's a mystery. It's a beautiful mystery.
It is.
Because, I mean, we still don't even know the aspect of what came first, the chicken or the egg.
The egg.
Why?
Because chickens evolved. Chickens are birds. They evolved from reptiles. Reptiles had eggs.
But like, where did the reptile come from then? Was it birthed in an egg, or did the reptile be like? Was it
the bird was born in an egg. So it came from. I mean, the reptiles have the eggs.
Okay,
right?
I see what you're saying.
So what I'm saying is
over
that
time,
the first bird was born from an egg.
Because it was a reptile.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where did the reptile come from? What came first, the reptile or the egg?
That came from the fish. Well, I guess like salamanders, because the fish had to
walk
get the fins that are strong enough to walk on land. Yeah.
And then he just dies, and then the next one tries, makes it a few more feet, and then that causes evolutionary paths because he's like, oh, I'm gonna like totally have sex with the dead one in front of me, and I'm gonna be able to walk just a little bit farther. Thank you. I'll be here all night, people. Unfortunately, I try. They're just dry humor at this point.
So, are we getting into religion then? Because that's a topic I'm very opinionated on.
Dude, we could talk about whatever the fuck you want to talk about, man. Okay. That's what this podcast is about. This is about knowledge, about life. This is about having fun and just getting to know each other. Because that's the thing I love about this podcast is like having a conversation with somebody. We've totally strayed away from that. We don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Everyone I've sat with, I've literally connected with them in a way that I haven't connected with anybody because we sat here for an hour and talked.
Right. That's something to think about. I mean, it's like, we're a world of tweeters and, Facebook posts and memes.
Yeah.
And, those aren't conversations.
And and if to them, they feel like it is a conversation, you can have this giant, this thread of like the comments, there's a bunch of people talking on your comments.
Yeah.
But it's not this interaction where you can feel the aspects of their facial expressions, their movements of their body language.
Right.
Because I don't know, I've always been a really big believer of like talking to my feelings in person.
Yeah.
Because like if I like a girl, obviously I can flirt with them and be like, oh, I like you, you're so pretty. But they don't know exactly how much I like them because it's just this square text that they're reading.
Sure.
Compared to me saying it, like I could be like Rico Suave and totally be like, hey, ladies.
There's something like 90% of what you're saying as a person is not the words themselves. It's like 30% is tone and 60% is body language, and only 10% is your text. So you're texting somebody, that's your 100% right there. But that would only be worth 10% if you were in person.
Yeah, right.
And that yeah.
Because obviously, if we were in front of each other right now, we could have the same exact conversation. Totally have the same exact thing. But I wouldn't know if you would get the jokes when I was telling you a joke. Or I don't know if you would know if I was like, kind of like really excited about a certain topic or something. It would just be like, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. I think he's excited.
Right.
And you don't know.
Here's something to think about, too, for your comedy. Keep in mind that 90% of what you're saying is going to be the nonverbal. So you're working hard on, what words you're going to say. That's why I was kind of asking you if it's scripted or not. because that's not the most important thing. It's going to be the delivery. It's going to be your body language. It's going to be, it's all that.
So, as a spectator of comedy, you feel it should be scripted?
No, I like your bullet point idea. I think you should have an idea of what you want to say, but when you're out there, you're gonna have to feel natural. It's gonna be how you're presenting it.
Okay.
Is gonna be more important.
'Cause I don't know. I want to try both. I mean, I'll even come up with like a 5-minute material.
Yeah.
And totally memorize it and see how that goes for me one night. And then do the other one where it's just like the bullet point comedy where I know where my topics are supposed to pop at.
Right.
But again, like you said, it's all about timing. And I hear it every time I listen to comedy, somebody's special or something. It's just like they know exactly when to stop telling the joke so that people could laugh and then continue with his next joke. It's crazy. I think of it as music too. It's just like he's hitting the rhythm at a perfect time or the notes are coming in so it all flows. It doesn't sound like
right,
really thrown out and distorted.
I commend your effort. That's it takes a lot of guts to get up there and when you're not sure how it's going to be perceived. So I mean, but that's the risky. I pretty much anybody would have to take.
But you've done it too. I mean, look at you. You've gone up there and like not expecting what people are going to think of your karaoke, and you've done it.
Yeah,
and that's just the same exact thing. I feel.
Yeah.
I mean, but you don't stop doing it, right?
Right. Yeah. And I was going to say, same with like masquerade contests and having like a little play or whatever.
Yeah.
To do. I mean, that for me is essentially scripted, where I've rehearsed it. But you don't know how your audience is gonna perceive it. They can think it's like stupid,
that's
or
true.
Whatever, or
yeah.
They can think it's awesome. So, or anywhere in between.
Because I don't want to be like the negative Nancy, but there are those times where like I see a cosplayer that's doing the masquerade, and they have so much potential to do an awesome skit, but yet all they do is just do a walk on,
right?
With the little like 2 poses, which to them that even feels awkward. I maybe it's a stage fright thing.
It probably is, because when I started off, before I was just starting to cosplay. I wasn't making my own stuff yet, and I was watching a masquerade for the first time, and I was like, "Oh, that is so cool!"
Nice.
I had this desire to be on stage, but I didn't make my own costume. So for one thing, that's kind of the reason I started making my own, was to because I wanted to present my stuff on stage. I liked, as a kid, I was not like in theater really, but I was a gymnast for 9 years.
Nice.
And that's competition. That's being in front of people and doing a routine on these events. And so competition's always been a very strong part of my life. So that for me is like a chance to show off some skills or have some fun on stage. And kind of forgot where I was going with that, but
you gotta love this podcast,
right? Yeah.
But I see what you're saying, though. I mean, it is, you obviously rehearsed it. You got the skill to present yourself compared to the person that was scared. That's
right.
what we were talking about. Like being scared on stage. Because, I mean.
Right. So, yeah, I'm getting back to my point now. Thank you. So, the first time I did it, I was just like, I'm not doing a skit. I'm just going to, all you have to do is do like 3 poses. And I was like, okay, and I came up with the 3 poses and I did it and it was cool. And then it's like, oh, cool. I got off the stage, and yeah, the world didn't end. I got through it, and it's actually kind of cool.
Nice.
So then the next time, I'm less scared because I already got one under the belt. And then it's like after I did a couple of those, then I was like, I kind of want to do a little bit more. I kind of want to do maybe like a quick little routine or something like that. So then I started getting more creative with my skits and putting audio together and doing stuff.
Because that's also cool too. It's like, I love how that's another thing we should talk about too, the way that like 2 cons differ from each other. Like, obviously, being the kind of person I am, I love an anime con way better than a Comic Con.
Yeah.
But it's just like, you can tell the difference of it too. Is like, obviously people go to a Comic Con because there's so much of like the celebrities and how much of a big output and like how much people are there.
Right.
Compared to an anime con where it's just like a small group of friends and like a community that's just like really warm and wholehearted and like super cool. Because I mean, I would have always pick an anime con over a Comic Con, even depending on the guest. I mean, you can bring the most famous guests ever to come to a Comic Con, but yet if I know my friends are going to be there and we're going to do something really fun at an anime con, I know I'd have a better time at that.
Right.
I mean, there's been those times too where you go to Comic-Con, it's just like, oh, I'm here for an hour just because I saw who I needed to see and I got what I needed to.
Right.
Compared to the other con where it's just like, oh, this is gonna happen in an hour, or like I totally didn't even expect that they were doing a conga line in the middle of the fucking dance hall, or
Right.
I don't know. I just feel like
No, I get what you're saying. You know, that it's more personal. It's closer to the heart. You know, and I agree with that to some extent. But for me, also the Comic Cons are good because kind of what I was saying with my art. I like drawing a certain one or two celebrities, you know, for one of those, and then getting an autograph, and that's always like a cool thing that I can, you know, be proud of too. So
because it's awesome to think too. Like you said, it's like it's unique.
Yeah,
it's also unique.
Yeah,
because I mean, they could always have those people who just like, look at this picture that I bought of you.
Right. Exactly. And you know, they're seeing hundreds of people that are just choosing something.
Yeah.
You know, they bring their DVD, they bring their CD, they bring their, you know, whatever. They bring a picture. But, you know, someone went through the trouble of making something, you know, very skilled. You know, not to toot my own horn.
I'm sorry about that. The commentators are getting a little bit anxious that you guys aren't talking with them rather than, you know, talking amongst
well,
yourselves.
you know who
I love podcasts, but the fat boys. I don't know why he calls you guys fat boys.
You know who that is though?
Not
Power?
Yeah, no, not Power.
Blaze?
Blaze 13.
I have no idea.
That's Michael.
Ah.
Yeah, you know Michael.
Yeah, so he's just trying to start some
he's
stuff.
trolling.
Okay.
Thank you for joining, Michael. You're awesome.
But not Power. Wants you guys to just talk to him.
Well, thanks, Not Power, for joining. We were talking about the debt. We're talking
that's who's asking about
you
the
were
debt
the one.
and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So.
Yeah, we're just hanging out, talking about random stuff. You want to throw in a topic? We'll talk about it.
I still want to talk about religion, but we'll give the audience a chance here.
I guess Tanisha really wants to talk to you guys.
Oh, hello. Well, thank you very much. We have random topics. Again, we want to talk about some religion as well. Cars. He wants to talk about some cars. Are you a car person?
Not really. I kind of have a cool car, but I'm not really a car person.
Yeah, it's a Mustang.
Mustang convertible.
Convertible. That's what I was going for.
It's actually not a bad car.
Yeah,
I like my car,
but
I don't know much about cars.
No,
so
it's weird.
Yeah,
but that's cool though. I mean, it's always cool to have a nice car. I've always wanted like one of those cool little racing like Japanese imports.
Yeah,
I'm into that.
I kind of want a futuristic, you know, Japanese car.
Nice.
That can drive itself because I can't park very well. So
what?
This has got to be like a button is you just press and it's like, oh cool, my car is parking itself and I don't have to worry about that.
Is it just because no practice?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like I always think I'm closer to hitting something than I really am, and so I'm like I give too much space.
Okay.
I can't get close enough to the curb, that kind of thing.
That'd be cool. Well, then how do you feel about the whole the Tesla cars and all that? Like Elon Musk's like electric cars and stuff. Do you know a little bit about them and stuff?
Maybe I've heard a little something, but why don't you give
they
me
have
a little bit more?
They have a new model out. I think it's called the Falcon. I'm not too sure. One of the two. You should look up that car by Tesla. But it's a self-driving car already. You literally can input any of your destinations and it'll take you wherever.
Right.
And I think, I'm not too sure, but they're actually letting people try them for free. You just have to like go through this whole like signing your life over and stuff, you know, like this on this and this and that. But it feels really cool because I think a lot of people now are just like kind of just they can literally just drive themselves, and not even drive themselves, they can drive their kids. Like, you know, they can be like, take child to school, and they'll take it to school, and it looks like just a regular nice car. It doesn't look any futuristic, like, you know, they have these weird fins on the top, or it doesn't like aerodynamically designed or anything. Awesome. Just runs on electricity. Like, I think it was like 87 or 85% electricity, and it's just super efficient.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you feel about technology advancing like that? I mean, obviously you're for it, right? You're not scared of technology?
No, but I would urge caution on giving up total control to a car. So, I mean, what if something, you know,
so right now,
lightning bolt, bzz, you know, you lose all your power in your car, and now you're gonna crash because you have no control over it.
So right now, you
got to have manual control still, the possibility for it.
So right now, if literally Elon Musk sent you a self-driving car, would you feel comfortable letting it drive you?
No, but I would do it anyways, just to
Try it out.
Yeah, just to try it out. I wouldn't be so afraid, like, oh, I'm just not going to get in that thing. I would try it at least.
You would try, but obviously be cautious. Like, there it goes.
Yeah, I'd probably be pretty tense the entire time until I got to our destination. It's like, okay, well,
that'd be weird. I mean, it's cool, a concept though. I mean, how do you feel about AI?
I like AI.
You do?
Yeah. I want to be in the future and interact with like human, like robots.
Nice.
But they look like people.
So like right now, if you had like Alexa or something, you could just totally have a conversation with her. And...
I haven't done that, but yeah, I guess we could start with that.
Yeah. So those are actually not. Those are a little bit pushing into AI, but I mean, then you go into the aspect that's like, is the government listening to us?
Yeah. Right.
I mean, Kiana, a guest. I think she was guest number 12.
Yeah, I saw that one.
I love how she said like, even if they are listening to us, like. What is that even like? What are they going to find out? Like,
right.
They can listen to this all they want. All they're going to hear is.
Well, they're going to want to shut me down because I have some ideas about third parties. So.
Even he's like this guy right here.
He's like he figured something out. We got to shut him up.
We got to find out where they're at. They're broadcasting this. No, see that's.
No, I kind of don't think we're being listened to all the time.
And even yeah.
I mean, how are you going to listen to like. 100 million conversations all at once. I mean, there's just not enough people to go through all that stuff.
Well, I mean, you do know the aspect of the computer, right? Like, so it goes through like an algorithm of like a computer base, so only certain words.
Right. Then key words come up, and then they can listen to your conversation if because they're not like worried. Yeah. Like if I said bomb, it's like that's a trigger word, and it's like we're gonna listen to this guy and make sure he's not gonna plan a bombing.
And it's kind of crazy too because like. Even just saying it a few times isn't the actual trigger of it, but like I don't know, even the way that words are phrased together. Like obviously you just said bomb. I mean obviously they're not like beep 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 beep.
Right.
Alarms going off and everyone freaking out. But it's the words.
So if I said hate and bomb and name a place. That might
and
trigger,
child and
blood and revenge and
politics. Yeah, I could see where there would just be like that, and then the fucking flashing lights are going.
I don't have a problem with that though. That's actually kind of a good safety precaution, sort of. I mean, within reason.
I don't know. I guess I can see that, but then do you feel like it'd be incriminating as well? Like they know so much that maybe you did say something that just wasn't suitable at that time, and then they go back 5 years later where you did say that, and they're just like, dude, really? You're going back 5 years?
Right.
That I don't know.
I would not be cool with that.
But I don't know. That's weird. That's just like the whole aspect of emails and stuff. Like, do you really remember like emails that were sent like 5 years ago?
Right.
Like, I mean, maybe you did have an angry letter with somebody, or
Yeah.
How relevant is it now if you brought it up to this time period?
Probably not very.
Right.
People, even me, I changed a lot in 5 years. I mean, some parts of it is still the same, and whatever someone's angry about 5 years ago, maybe they got over.
How do you like that aspect too? Is like we're not even the same person that we were 5 years ago. Like even human wise, like our skin just rebuilt. We're new people.
Right.
New people in general.
Right.
Every fucking, I think it was like 7 to 10 years or something. But
yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's cool to think about too, because like you cannot say you're the same person.
Right.
Because you're literally.
But you would think, if the medical scientists understand that, they'd figure out a way to like regenerate the cells to where they're actually regenerating, and we're not going to age so much. You know what I mean?
That's good too, because obviously our cells are coming back and all our skin is coming back. But why is our skin coming back crinkled, and why is it coming?
Why am I getting these gray hairs? It's like why is exactly.
That is a good one, because obviously but then the stem cell thing. That's a thing. They really are injecting stem cells in Panama.
Mm-hmm.
Here in America, I think they do have some stem cell research, but it's really, you have to go through like a really bad like accident. And then you still have to be approved by the government to go through it. Over there, as long as you have the money. So Mel Gibson says he feels younger. He feels like he's totally a new, revived person because he's just getting stem cells injected into him.
Okay.
Compared to
where are they injecting that?
I'm not too sure. Look it up. See, Mel Gibson injected stem cells. He was on the Joe Rogan podcast with the doctor that was actually doing it to him. I'll send you the link if you want to listen to it.
Because it's basically the idea of a stem cell is to kind of like regrow or regenerate something, right? So
you think? Well, what if the idea of stem cell wasn't regenerating; it was just replacing?
But that's kind of yeah. Like you grow a new heart. You know, part of your heart died. You can grow a new piece of your heart or something like that.
Or like the fact that like our skins do come out, but it comes out older. What if we put the new stem cells so it makes our skin come out younger? It's still a little dabble in science. I'm pretty sure they know way more about it than what they're saying.
Yeah.
But that in itself too is just another weird thing too. Is like, what if we could be younger? All we had to do was just like inject stem cell into us.
Right.
We live longer. Like us now looks natural at 100 years old.
Yeah.
That's amazing to think about.
Right.
I mean,
that's gonna set up some problems in society because it's gonna be the haves and the have-nots, and then it's gonna be, you know, all rich people want to look young and stay young, you know, for hundreds of years, and then these poor people are gonna be like, yep, that person is 80 years old, and they look it.
I'm not sure which one to go to.
go to the video one.
This one?
Yeah. We'll do a quick little audio.
So he was on Joe Rogan.
Yeah, I love Joe Rogan.
All right.
Don't play that. Thank you. We don't. They're not sponsoring us, so they don't get no advertising. Play.
Right.
This you wanted to come in and talk about stem cells.
Yeah.
So what's your experience been, and what's this calling that you have here?
Well, I was initially it was for my dad, who was, he was 92, and he was doing all the old man stuff. His hip was killing him, and he was like. He had multiple problems. I mean, I won't get into the whole litany of complaints, but hey, your engine starts wearing out. You got to replace the carburetor and a few other things. And I took him to the Mayo Clinic. Great place. If I ever get into serious trouble, that's where I'm going. And they were fantastic there, but they were able to say, "Oh, you got to leave me here. He'll be dead in 48 hours." I'm like, "Oh," so they clocked every problem that he had. Everything from the prostate to the hip to the kidneys to the heart to the lung, the whole deal. And they stabilized him. They said, okay, we'll do this and we'll do this, and they did some orthodox medical procedures, all allowed in this.
He's such a good storyteller. And, that's why the story's taking forever.
But I still had reservations about him getting a hip replacement because he was old, and of course, just the recovery from a traumatic surgery at that age is like, it's a big deal. And I thought, what can I do? And my brother says, why don't you look into these adult stem cells? I'm like, I've heard things about this. You grow a spare mouth on your head, or you end up with an extra asshole or something. But I was like, okay, we'll look into it. So we did. And of course, a buddy of mine who was a Mayo doc, he said, stay away from those witch doctors down in Panama. He said, it's like leprosy and banana boats and three-legged dogs, And I'm like, can we call them? And so Brad and I got on the phone to Neil, and who else was it?
It's Dr. Paz, our medical doctor.
Yeah, it was the two of these guys. And so they're talking highfalutin terms, medical, all being medicos. They know what a mesenchymal stem cell or mesenchymal, how do you say it?
Mesenchymal, yeah.
Mesenchymal, and cytokine, mesenchymal cytokines, out of sight, out of kind, as far as I'm concerned. But it's like they give us the wristwatch show over the phone for about an hour, and the doctor's asking them questions that I can't even think of. So when we hang up, I said, now, translate, what does all that mean? He translated a few things. He says, it sounds kind of interesting, pretty good, and from being a naysayer, he said, let's call him back. And I think we called you right back. Yeah. And we spent another hour on the phone. And
well, to his credit, Brad asked for a bunch of literature, and I sent him maybe 30 articles, and most physicians wouldn't even look at it. But it was all relevant to what Hutt had. And for the heart problems and kidney problems and orthopedic problems, and he read all the articles, and he read the upside, the downside, and then we had
skip ahead a little bit.
Credit, then we had and they stimulate regeneration. So, and the good thing about them is they tend to home to areas where there is inflammation.
Go a little back.
So
right there.
And very high quality and certified by the Ministry of Health. they're grown in the laboratory and they're certified to be, free of everything, any kind of infectious disease. And
I went into the clean rooms, and they make you put on like hats and gloves, and you feel like all Frankensteined out, and you walk into these cold rooms, and you're watching cells divide under the microscope. It's kind of miraculous, really, to look at this stuff.
So, intravenous stem cells.
Right, intravenous. That's correct.
And what's the benefit of intravenous stem cells? Like, what does that do?
Well, the good thing is that this kind of stem cell, the mesenchymal stem cell, they're found throughout your body, and normally what they do is they modulate your immune system, they decrease inflammation, and they stimulate regeneration. So, and the good thing about them is they tend to home to areas where there is inflammation. So intravenously, they do a lot of things, but they can home to areas of inflammation, and they really reduce inflammation in the body because they upregulate part of your immune system that controls the inflammatory process, which I can talk more about later. But in his case, his kidneys were in trouble, his heart was in trouble, and the cells, they don't, unlike what we used to think in the early days, they don't become anything. This kind of stem cell does not become anything in your body, but it homes to areas that need repair, and it secretes things that stimulates the repair and decreases the inflammation and helps out with the immune system. So the vast majority of what we treat are autoimmune diseases. And in Hutt's case, we gave him IVs so that he could basically have these things on board secreting the...
So all I heard is pretty much he has superpowers now. That's all I got out of that. That's so weird to know that, like, obviously Mel Gibson's dad was having all these problems, and then he just goes and gets stem cells. Well, he got the hip replacement, and he did get all this in America, but the process of, like, what is it called? Rehabilitation, or that was...
Yeah, the rehab time, or, yeah.
Yeah, that was super hard for him, but that is what really helped him out.
Okay, and just watching that, I'm not so, like, certain... intravenously obviously means it goes into the veins, which means it's in your bloodstream. Okay. So it's circulating throughout your body, obviously. And he's saying that it's going to sites of inflammation, but I don't really see any difference between taking anti-inflammatories and, that goes into your bloodstream. And
what's the difference between an anti-inflammatory then? Like, what would happen if you do put an anti-inflammatory to help? Because obviously, as far as I heard, it was to, like, stop certain things from, like, I guess his kidney had problems to regenerate or, like, make sure that it's, like, back to its normal working function.
Yeah.
Where in that aspect would it just be, like, instead of the stem cells to do whatever you just said to replace that?
I think I had to research this one a little bit more. So if people don't know, I'm actually a vascular technician, which means I've had, some medical training. Obviously, I'm not as smart and knowledgeable as a doctor, but I understand some basic medical stuff
terms. And
so when someone says it reduces inflammation, I'm like, well, you can just take some Advil. That's going to reduce your inflammation too.
But I heard Advil is for you not as good because, like, it's just like causing more problems in your kidney and stuff. Like, I heard Advil isn't as good as for you. Like, you shouldn't be taking Advil for just the common thing.
So yeah, some products like Advil or aspirin can upset your stomach, especially if you take too many.
Okay.
And actually, as somebody who's a chronic headache sufferer, I probably kind of did that to myself, where I gave myself some stomach problems. But so don't take more than recommended dosage. But I don't know. I don't know about this. I would like to believe that they're coming up with some cool stuff, and it's going to be very beneficial. Based off of what Mel Gibson's saying, I'm not sold on that it actually did anything more than
something that modern medicine could have done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I'll send you a link to the whole thing, like the whole actual podcast, because it's just Joe Rogan, the doctor, and Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
And for the good part of it, they do talk about the whole stem cell research, and that's the only reason why Mel Gibson does it now is because of how effective it worked for his dad. So he's like, well, I have a bad shoulder. My shoulder hurts. I'm going to go ahead and get that stem cell injected in me, and now he feels like he can throw like a pitcher.
Cool.
So that
if that's true, that's great.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I like to see progress, and I'm just a little skeptical on just kind of how vague it seemed there. But
we saw
I could totally be wrong.
Yeah, and we only
totally
saw
work.
like 6 minutes of
Sure.
it. So again, I'll send you the link. you keep in touch with me and what you think of that.
Okay.
You'd be like, "Oh, dude, why are you
For sure.
listening to this bullshit?"
Yeah, yeah.
I just took this to my doctor, and he's just like, "Yeah, they're gonna die if they keep doing that."
Oh, really?
I don't, that's just a joke, but still, that's hilarious. Well, let's stray to the topic of religion because we always start to talk about it, then all of a sudden we stray into something else.
Right.
What do you feel about religion? I mean, I kind of grew up, unfortunately, in a Christian kind of home.
Okay.
So my parents, they're not religious, but they believe in some sort of deity, like Jesus and God and the whole Holy Ghost and stuff like that, which when I was younger, I did believe in. Now that I'm older, I love the aspect of all religions.
Okay.
Because who's to say who's wrong? So I feel like maybe they're all wrong, but it's not bad to know. Never bad to know all the religions.
Gotcha.
So, but that's just my aspect.
I think it's, if you're a religious person, you're not going to want people to seek knowledge out because the more knowledge you're going to get, the more everything's going to unravel.
I think that's more of like a closed-minded religious person, though. I've talked to some religious people where they're just like, "That's cool. I'm glad you believe what you believe." But they don't try to make me or push me into this direction where they're like, "You're the devil because you don't believe what you believe."
Right.
Or the devil's controlling you. You know,
Okay.
There's those little aspects of like, okay, well, unfortunately, you don't believe. I can't convince you not to.
Right.
But they.
Okay, so here's a few things.
Right.
First of all, I think religion is the worst thing that humankind has ever come up with. It's the most divisive and it's a complete lie. These religions are all made up by people, a few thousand years ago who, thought the world was flat. They thought everything revolved around this flat, this flat earth. And to explain things, they just made some stuff up. And you can't blame them because what did they know back then? That's what it looks like. I mean, it does look like the world's flat. It does look like things go around it. And, where are they getting this knowledge from? Well, they didn't have any way to tell otherwise. So I don't blame people for coming up with whatever's been come up with in the past. But I will blame people now. We have this knowledge of what the universe is, when it started, a very good idea of how it started, when life started on this planet, when this planet was formed. I mean, these are all things that are discoveries. These aren't beliefs. We didn't read it in some book to come up with it. This is stuff we found out. And if your stories from a few thousand years ago contradicts that, well, you can't go with your stories. Those are fantasies written by people who didn't have the knowledge.
So you're not a religious person.
No, I am 100% against religion.
Get out of here, you heathen. Just
right,
kidding.
right.
Just kidding.
That's the reaction. That's going to be off-putting to a lot of people.
But
they don't want to,
Unfortunately, I don't think that's a case anymore. In this younger generation, religion is no longer as much subjugated as it used to be.
But we're still going to deal with people that are spiritual.
Yeah.
That still think, oh, well, I think religion's wrong, but I still think there's a deity. And I have problems with that too. All right, so the two, or maybe three major religions of the world: Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, Jewish religion. And both Christianity and Islam actually stemmed from the Jewish religion, and the Old Testament is actually like the Jewish religion. Yeah. That's actually where it came from. So the major belief systems started with that and grew from it. That's why everybody, it's like, is there? Do you believe in God is the question. And I'm saying, that's not even an appropriate question, because how can you say that there's only one? And you have to be able to define what you're talking about. If you're saying, well, I don't know, I just believe that there's one. Well, wow, that is so non-specific. You have a relationship with this thing. I'm going to start asking questions. What's its gender? How old is it? Does it wonder who created it? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh, it's at the beginning? Well, what came first, this deity, or did time come first? And these people are not going to have questions of that. They're just the more you think about it, it's going to unravel. But I think it's good for us to use our heads and ask these questions.
I've always loved the aspect. I mean, this is me being vague and me being I don't even know how to explain this, but I've always felt as people, us individuals, are God. Inside of our body, there's so much molecular things going on that literally, if we spit on the floor, we literally just started life. the bacteria that just starts roaming around
Right.
there, you literally just started life. And who knows what can spawn from that. You can have a bunch of ants that start to like form around it. What's going to happen with those ants? What are those ants going to feel like when you do that? Is it going to, to them, is that going to be the great flood? I mean, you literally are the God in. So when I grew up, I always felt like, you know, my parents, they were kind of like a Christian base, but weren't religious. You know, they didn't go to church all the time, but they were that aspect. Like, we believe in something.
Yeah.
And as a kid, I was like, how can I believe in something if like you guys don't even truly believe in it? So that made me already second guess. And then I got into these giant conspiracies that like aliens are the ones that ended up making all the historic monuments in the world and stuff. And it aligns with the stars at a certain date. So that got me really questioning religion at that point too.
Yep.
And when that happened, I was just at the point where like I could learn and know as much as I can about religion, about life, but I will never know.
Yeah.
I will never know. So that's where I come in, where it's like, I would never throw or never like, I don't know, like maybe Joseph Smith's story of the Mormons is stupid and religious and dumb, but I mean, that's what he believes in. Maybe in some alternate universe, that is the truth. I don't know, but it doesn't feel like it's the truth here.
Yeah.
And then I have another guy who's a really Muslim and who tells me all of his beliefs and stuff. And it's like, you know what? That actually, it could be true in another universe. I don't know, but it just doesn't feel true here.
Right.
So again, like they have, and there's that other aspect too, is like all of these religions just end up taking the same story. Like they all have the same basic story, but they can't explain exactly what truly happened.
Right.
Because they all obviously, there's that aspect too where like, oh, the ancient people saw aliens and they didn't know how to call these aliens, so they ended up calling them God, and like the lizard god and the cat god and like the god of the sun. So that's like in itself is another aspect. Like, were we that dumb as human beings? We just didn't know the difference.
Right.
It's crazy. That in itself too is like weird, because I don't want to say we're not naturally here, but like, how is it not weird that we've already altered the planet so much that it doesn't feel natural anymore?
Right. So we're kind of getting into the territory of evolution, which is also very interesting.
Yeah.
You know, just based on the mountains of evidence, we know that it's happening. I don't think it's fully understood exactly how it's happening. What the common belief is that, you know, there's a mutation that happens. If it's advantageous and the genes are spread on, then, you know, that moves on to that species, and it, you know, and then they become that new, you know,
Part
genetically
of,
slightly different, version. But my question about that is, you know, you have some species on this planet that haven't seemingly changed for millions of years. Then you have human beings, which, you know, over like 2 million years went from like an ape-like creature to like how smart we are now. And it's like, you know, why did that just like, you know, just spawn so fast? And what I kind of think is evolution is not entirely just a mistake that proves advantageous. I think that there's actually some sort of like force that has to happen to where you need that advantage, and where like genetically it's sort of programmed in that the genetic mutation actually changes with your next generation when you have an offspring.
Okay.
And I have nothing to back that up. That's just kind of how it seems, because, you know, humans had to, as we're evolving into what we are now, we had to evolve very quickly, get smarter, you know, and instead of, a mutation just happened to make us smarter, I think it might have been like we had to become smarter. And so that became part of our genetic thing, where it had to be in our next generation.
Have you ever heard of the stone ape theory?
No.
Okay, this might be a little far-fetched, or might like totally be like, what the fuck are you even talking about, man?
Okay.
But there's this one point where they say that they actually ape-like creatures actually ingested and ate mushrooms.
Okay.
For the advancement for the next level. Hear me out. I know this is a little weird.
Okay.
I don't know if you know any research about hallucinogens. Do you?
Not much.
Okay, so here's
other than taking mushrooms a couple times.
Okay, so here's an example. If you listen to music and you do a brain CAT scan or whatever,
yeah,
you can see the certain areas of your brain that are active.
Sure.
Correct?
Yep.
And they've done that with 4 different types. They did it with listening to music, listening to literature, but on its own, and while on psychedelic mushrooms.
Okay.
The one, and you can tell different parts of the brain. Like when he was listening to music, this part of the brain really worked more and you saw it. When he was listening to literature, this part of the brain worked more. When he wasn't doing anything, small little parts of the brain worked. It didn't. But the one with mushrooms is what really got everybody crazy because he wasn't doing anything like listening to music, literature. All he did was take a spiritual drug, and his mind was working harder than all 3 of them combined. So that in itself is like mind-blowing to me because we don't even know close to anything about magic mushrooms or hallucinogens at that point because we don't know anything. So take that stone ape theory where like apes were just like, I'm going to eat one of these mushrooms. They go on a trip, but when that trip happens, their brain slowly advanced. And this is the theory of it too, because if you take magic mushrooms, it does actually help your brain with gray matter and certain things that develop in your brain.
Right.
And that's a weird theory to think about is just like, imagine if a monkey ate mushrooms and began to stand upright.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of far-fetched. It's an idea, but it's cool to think about because, again, I don't know how much you know about hallucinogens, but, like, they're weird. Like, we know nothing about them. And then, I don't know, have you ever heard of a drug called DMT?
I heard of it, but I have no idea what it does.
It's like a super, like, it's actually, it's a more concentrated form. Its original form is known as the ayahuasca plant, which is in an indigenous tribe. What they do is, like, they eat this plant, and they actually like layer it with like some weird vine because we all have this we all have that substance in us, and when we eat the plant our body is able to like separate it into our body correctly. But if you mix it correctly with this vine, it goes into your stomach and your acid cells and stuff don't allow you to process the leaf correctly, so it goes into your liver or it goes into your stomach in a weird way, and that's where you start to hallucinate.
Okay.
This actual process of hallucination, I mean, you know what they say about hallucination. You see things, you totally trip out or whatever.
Right.
The ancient form, the way they used to do it in the indigenous tribe, is kind of dangerous, but it was a ceremonial thing.
Right.
After the process was done, you actually vomited and puked for hours on end. But you literally came out the most humble, nicest person ever. That was the way they transitioned their people into manhood, which is weird.
Yeah.
And now we have another form of it known as DMT, where we actually done it in a more concentrated form. So it's actually like a weird, like crystallized powder almost. And it does the same effects, everything the same, but it only lasts 15 minutes. And you don't have the same side effects where you vomit for hours, you're shitting, you're puking, you're fucking everything, all these.
Right.
And it's crazy because everyone who's taken DMT has come out a more humble and nicer person. It's weird to think of that because, like, what happens when you take it? Like, I don't, every interview, everything that I've seen on them, I don't see anybody saying, I went out and wanted to buy more drugs, I went out and wanted to kill somebody, compared to like your crack cocaine and your meth stories.
Yeah.
All the stories were just like, I understood life more and I wanted to be more of a helpful, more nice, humble person, and all because of a drug.
Right.
It's weird.
I think as an observer, like a scientific observer, I would be very interested to know what exactly is being stimulated.
Exactly, right?
You know, what part of the brain is changing to make you feel more calm all of a sudden.
And it's crazy to think about too, is like all you had to do is just eat it and you have more activity. Like I can sit there and practice my guitar for hours on end and have all this brain activity, but it's not even close to what somebody did if all they did is eat an hallucinogen.
Right. I kind of think if there's something to that, you should be given these in small doses to like Alzheimer patients whose brains are starting to, deteriorate, because that you by doing like crossword puzzles and stuff like that, you can make your brain last longer and kind of, push the Alzheimer's that you may get down the road because you have your more brain activity.
Yeah, exactly.
So what if you're taking a hallucinogen or something like that, or DMT, and it's stimulating your brain? Well, that actually pushed the Alzheimer's down the road too.
See, and a thing that's scary is like we just can't do those kinds of research. Like there's been a study here in New Mexico. They actually had to get so many laws passed just to get a group of 12 people to do it, and they only got to do it one time. So I mean, that already in itself is like, how much research can you do when you could only do it one time with the amount of like.
Yeah, one study is not enough to make any conclusions. So.
And it's crazy too, because I see it as like I don't want to like bring the government back into this, but I mean, imagine if it's just the people that have already done the drug, know the side effects, become this amazing superpower person, and now they just like, well, let's not make everyone else as smart as we are. Let's just make it dumb for everyone. Let's make it think that it makes you dumb. Let's make it think that it ruined your life, because in hindsight, it doesn't.
Right.
It's weird.
So that's one of your conspiracy theories there. They're going to say, you know, we want to keep people under control. If people get smarter or don't need, you know, they can take these drugs and that's going to ruin our medical market. Now they don't have to take all these, you know, half-measure cures, and they can just,
yeah, because
interesting.
That's scary in itself, because I this is a fantasy. This is like one of my fanfics or whatever. But just take the aspect of like, all I have to do is eat like 5 grams of mushrooms, go to my room, put on a documentary, and I automatically retain half of that information.
Right. Yeah.
That in itself just blows me away. But we don't know. We don't know.
Right.
So.
And it could just be that, you know, you're taking these hallucinogens, it's activating your brain, but you know, maybe it's just, you know, you're calmer afterwards because your brain is just using so much energy.
Exactly.
And you're just like, oh.
That's kind of like the
aspect.
And
then now it's like relaxed because, you know, you used up all that energy. You're going to have to recharge.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I wonder if like you don't, you know, after a few days, are you going to go back to being just as aggressive or frustrated or whatever, you know, however you were before you were on that, you know, trip.
That's crazy. It's so weird to think about.
Yeah.
That's one of those questions though. It's like, fuck life. Damn you. Why are you so crazy?
Okay, so I want to go back to religion for a second because I got a metaphor for you.
Go it.
So like the extreme religious people are like, they'll put down the scientific, you know, findings of the beginning of the universe. Okay. So as far as we understand it, it's 13.8 billion years old. They can track that back because of the background microwave radiation to about 300,000 years after the Big Bang. Okay. And then a really religious person's going to be like, well, you know, it says in the Bible here, you know, based off of, you know, this literature that's there, the Earth is about 6,000 years old. And it's like, they're going to put down science because, you know, it's always changing. It's always modifying its results. I see science as being the compass that, you know, it's not going to be exact. It's just going to point, you know, in the right direction. And we just have to walk the path, and we're going to get closer and closer to that. And so, you know, if the truth to whatever question you have is like a dartboard, science is going to help you refine it so you can throw that dart closer and closer to the bullseye. All right. And religion's going to put that down. It's like, well, you know, you're always changing it. You're never going to hit the center.
It's all faith at that point.
Right. But, you know, as far as I'm concerned, you're comparing 13.8 billion years to your 6,000. We know that's wrong. So, you know, yes, you might have hit the, you know, just outside the bullseye. We didn't quite, you know, get it right. It could be, what if it's 14.1 or something like that? And it's like, well, you were wrong about it. Yeah, but we were really close. Your 6,000 years old is like you just dropped the dart. You know what I'm saying?
You threw it for the first time.
Yeah.
A 6,000-year-old is just you throwing it for the first time.
Yeah.
Compared to the 13 billion, he's throwing it at least more times than you can even comprehend.
Right. And the 6,000-year-old theory, they're not going to look for any other answer. They're going to drop the dart every time and say that's correct. And, well, I don't think that's wise.
Well, see, I don't get that either, is because, like, they're throwing this in the aspect of the dart.
Right.
It's like they throw the dart, it doesn't go anywhere, it just lands on the floor.
Right.
That's their new target now.
Yeah.
That's where
they're saying, in their mind, they hit the bullseye.
Yeah.
But, you know, we're looking at that. I'm like, no, your dart is on the floor. The target's over there, and there's no dart on it. So you were wrong, you know.
And it's sad to say it, though, but it's like that aspect. You're in a bar, and there's 2 guys playing darts, but there's a bunch of people in back of them that are friends with the guy that dropped the dart.
Right.
And they're all just going to be like, I saw it.
Yeah, they're all cheering. Yeah, here's the winner right here.
Yeah, we saw it all. We were there. It was right in front of us. How can you say it didn't happen?
Right.
That in itself is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
David.
Yeah.
We've been talking for quite a while.
It's been fun, though.
Yeah, I'm glad. So we have a segment coming up. You've obviously heard it, right?
Yeah.
Are you ready for it?
We'll see. I hope I don't get any brain freeze, like Family Feud, where it's like, you know.
10 seconds on the clock. We ask 100 people. Yeah, right?
I'm like, oh, well.
I don't know what I'm going to do. Anyways, just to refresh everybody, this segment is called Rapid Fire. I have a list of 25 words. I'm going to say these words, and I want you to say the first thing that pops in your head. Example, I'm going to say the word cup. You can say a word or a phrase that reminds you of that thing. So you can say drinking, or you can say I don't like.
Okay.
Just something that gets the first thing that pops in your head.
Gotcha.
Because a lot of people think they have to say the opposite, or they have to think of something real, even if it's the most random thing where you're just like, oh,
right.
Touch me in the back once. It's something like that. It's the first thing that pops in your head.
Yeah, I was kind of playing along with that, and I won't say anything right now, but it's very interesting the way my brain was actually thinking of responses.
Really?
So we'll see what happens
Okay,
here.
cool. All right. This is a rapid fire, folks. Get the studio audience going crazy. Yeah. Are you ready?
I am.
25 words.
Okay.
Let's do this. 25 words. Okay. First word.
Yep.
Pizza.
Pepperoni.
Island.
Big.
Music.
Note.
Cartoon.
Color.
Black.
White.
Trippy.
Drugs.
Fast.
Runner.
Animal.
Tiger.
Spicy.
Pizza.
Maze.
Zigzag.
Army.
Green.
Drugs.
Marijuana.
Air.
Wind.
Pendulum.
Clock.
Native American.
Indian.
Scar.
Face.
School.
School bus.
Magic.
Cards.
Computer.
Keyboard.
Superhero.
Superman.
Comedy.
Microphone.
Bleach.
Container.
Frame. Fame.
Fame. Superstar.
Ham water.
Ham water. Gross.
Amuse me.
You.
Nice. Thank you very much, man. We'll get that studio audience going crazy. Whew. That's rapid fire. See?
Yeah.
Super simple. You had a little more understanding of it because you did your research before you came on the podcast.
Right.
Most of those other people are like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to say. But I'm good. What's going to happen is I'm going to take after season 2 because the way my podcast work is what we're doing is like we're doing seasons.
Uh-huh.
So the first season was from episode 1 to episode 8. And for the last segment, I made everybody eat a grasshopper.
Oh.
And now for season 2, episode 9 on, we do this, rapid fire.
Okay.
So for season 3, I don't know what's going to come up yet. I'm still...
I don't know if I'd be very good with eating a grasshopper.
It's not as bad as you think. I had 2 flavors.
Huh.
Plain and chili con lime.
They fry it up or what?
It's actually dehydrated.
Okay.
Dehydrated, and when you eat the plain one,
yeah.
all it tastes like is like hay. I don't know if you've ever eaten hay. I don't know.
I probably tried it as a kid.
It's not something we go around and go buy all the time. But
Right.
It was cool. David.
Yeah.
Thank you again for coming to the podcast, man.
Absolutely.
It's going to be awesome. Make sure to check them out. Go ahead and shout out your cosplay name and where they can find you.
Okay, so currently my cosplay name is Lelouch Lives L2 Cosplay. That's all one word. Right now I'm just on Facebook, but I am in the process of building a website under that same name. I've already registered the domain name, and that should be a lot of fun. And I want to, have some big plans for that, and get a lot of other local cosplayers on there. It can be kind of a hub for us all.
Nice,
especially here in Albuquerque,
because it's all about that community, right?
Right.
Hell yeah, man. Well, play us out, man. Thanks again for watching. Thanks again for coming. We'll be back again soon. I'm not too sure when we have another guest. I know we have somebody coming up. Check us out. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that good stuff. If you're not notified with a notification button. Do it because we do this all the time and this is fun. Have a good night, guys. We'll see you later.